what's going on, everybody? Got a lot of stuff to talk about today. I know everyone's excited about Animus. Gonna let a few more people jump in, and then we're gonna get started. How to do a little bit of the Animus intro music from the new website. Shout out to Jim. Jim Guthrie usually makes the music for all of Artifact stuff, so definitely excited to get into topics today. I know there's a lot of questions dropped, and we want to make sure that people have a good understanding of how Animus as like a reveal mechanic will work, but then also as a project, what things are going to be looking like for people. See, we got Zach on stage. Z Ruben, how's it going?
It's going. I wish I could pull up the sound effects like Compound when he hosts Bad Take Spaces, but unfortunately, I am not as cool.
We forgive you this time.
But yeah, man, it's Friday after the launch of the Animus site. We're all, the Artifact team is like all drained but all excited. But we're all proud of what we put out, and looking forward to talking about the mechanics, the lore, and what we're excited about for Animus to come.
I love it. Definitely a lot of hard work put into this project. A lot of people from across the team. I think Harlan had a tweet about that yesterday. It's definitely cool to see, and obviously shout out to you for helping manage all this stuff and make sure it comes to life.
Yeah, man. Harlan's I think everybody on our team, including UCAS, is like a what's it called? Swiss Army knife. Like everybody's asked to do multiple things at once. Harlan taking on, lore master for a lot of this stuff, also creative directing, also making shit himself, emotional support, it runs the gamut. So excited that Harlan's in here, and hope he'll come up to speak a little bit when we get to some questions. Oh, there he is. And there's Chris Lee.
Hey, what's up?
Lee.
Hi.
What's going on, brother? I go back and forth between calling you Clegg and Chris Lee lately, but I can't. It feels weird when I say Chris. It's either Clegg or Chris Lee.
You call me whatever you want, man.
Oh. Let me get Ben on here.
I'm on, Zach. I'm on. You need more energy when I was listening, because now you can listen anonymously. Actually, did you see? So I started listening anonymously to check the vibes, and I was like, okay, we need better vibes than this.
That's why you're here, Benoit.
No, normally it's Z. Me, I'm not. You know me, I'm the sarcastic guy, right?
Yeah,
Z is
like,
more the party guy, but Z is late. So yeah, coming a bit later.
That me.
Wait, so do we start without him, or we wait for him?
We can see what Harlan's thinking. I know he just jumped up as well. We just gave him a little shout out. Maybe he can provide some party vibes until Z arrives.
Yo, you really got to put me on the spot. I'm here like mid-code, and you throwing me
I
on the
was
spot.
rugging for a bit, but can you guys
yes, because Jalan also codes. Yes.
Nice. And Ben, you're right about the vibes. I'm no Z. I'm a poor man Z. I'm just Zach. So
but it's still a Z. It's better. Yeah. There's Z's that are worse than
that. Word, man. All right. Well, let's Cash, whenever you're ready. Let's kick it off.
Yeah, we can definitely just start with just the overall vibes that you guys are feeling. Obviously, y'all have been working on this for a minute. So, Clegg, Benoit, any thoughts now that Animus is finally here and coming to the people?
I mean, it's not here yet technically. I'm just waiting, counting the days until the reveal starts. That's where it's going to be really exciting when everybody's showing off their new pets, the new Animus creatures. That's the hype right there.
Yeah, because I don't know if we said it before, but because we still work a lot on WhatsApp, and when Animus started, the first name on the WhatsApp group was Project Pets. Because Chris, you said pets, right? So wanted to reveal this part. But no,
I
super
forgot
excited
about that. It was
yeah,
Project
it was
Pets.
Project Pets. Yeah, I mean, I think it's still there, the group. Oh, wait, let me check. And to check when did it start, man. Maybe I can. If you give me time to scroll up, I can see when it really started.
Yeah, it's been a
But no,
minute.
but it's good to finally, at least show the website again. That's what I was saying. Like we always put a lot of attention on websites. So again, like big shout out to the team who worked on it, Alex, Jojo, the tech team, Jarlan, like all of this. So it was really good. Jim for the music, and it's good to finally reveal as well. We were like always people saying we need to communicate more, it's not clear. So we did everything people told us, like the infographics, all the information. So it's a lot to digest, but it's good to decide. And as Chris said, it's just, it's not the launch of ANIMUS, but it's one of the, how do you say it? One of the curtains lifting up. It's not the best analogy, but you see what I mean. So yeah, very happy about this.
Yeah, just to add on to it, I mean, Ben's right in terms of like overloading with info. I think we were just taking in a lot of feedback from the community on everything and really wanting to land, like when we launched all the info around how incubation worked, that we didn't leave any stones unturned. So going into the Animus names, having a video that explains it, having a site that explains it, having an infographic explain it, and then followed up with a space. We know that there's a lot to unpack, so we really just wanted to take the time to work through it. And like Chris said, it's like just the first chapter, but now the journey's here in terms of taking us to incubation and then to reveal. And the thing I'm most pumped about, I know a lot of projects say this, but we'll get into it a bit in the questions, but the art for this and the production that goes into making the art for this particular project is really unique.
Yeah, I wanted
and the scale is massive as fuck.
I want to just like give a quick shout out to Tommy. I'm sure a lot of the clone holders, if you hung around me in LA, I always have a friend of mine around me, mysterious dude with long hair. That's Tommy. He was behind the whole art direction of this. He killed it. Phenomenal job. CloneX was one project. Tommy came in and did pretty much like 30 plus, actually more than that. There's like a lot of people don't know this, but there's a lot more Animus characters that was created. We just had to curate down to this amount, because I've seen some tweets where they're saying, oh, it's only 30 something. Nah, there was a lot more. We had a lot more. We're so careful with what the characters are going to look like, what the world sees first. We basically shelved a lot of these characters. So, just know in the back of your mind, there's a lot more than this. A lot of work went into it.
Yeah, and Chris, just to unpack that a bit more, just to give, I know some people are deeper into the 3D space than others, but in terms of scale and magnitude of this project compared to even our own CloneX, like what are some of the key differences that stand out in terms of how to pull something like this off?
Oh, first off, the difference with this and CloneX, we wanted to make sure it was 3D ready from the get-go with the right file formats. And on top of that, for this many different unique characters, that's a feat. That's why it took a bit. And 2D PFPs that are included. This is insane. This is multiple NFT projects all fused into one with gamification mechanics. This is insane. So like we had to work with a massive team to figure out clipping issues, lighting, how these characters will work in different game engines, and how do we make these characters not look close, or like the thing is, something's always inspired by something, but we knew people were going to pick at it and say, oh, it looks like Pokemon. We tried our best to make sure it doesn't look like a lot of the companions projects out there. We did a lot of experimentation, looking at a bunch of different IPs to see what they've done, what we could do differently, to make sure all the characters are memorable and they stand out. Their silhouettes, like a lot of silhouette planning is very important to us. When we create the character, turning off all the color just to see the silhouette is very important to us, because we want to make sure at a glance you can tell what it is. That's why when we're showing what's to come on the website, you can see the silhouettes, and all the silhouettes are very unique from each other with each Animus character. So a lot of thought went into this. Actually, a lot more thought than CloneX. We took our learnings and mistakes from CloneX and try to see if we could outdo what we did with CloneX. And I feel like this is it. Like, this is what we've done. We definitely outdone it.
Yeah, and Harlan, just to piggyback off it since you're on stage, right? Like for somebody like you who's been taking the wheel on the inventory app, right? And obviously Clone V2, like what Chris just said, maybe you could speak to a little about like your thoughts on it all in terms of not just making like your life easier in terms of leading that effort, but like how you see what we're about to roll out and how it could eventually make its way into inventory and how it's an interesting inflection point for the community.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of the work that we're doing, like on the infrastructure side for the Clone V2s, is actually piggybacking off of all of the infrastructure work. Oh, yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good, Zach. Rugged a little bit there.
Is it better?
Yeah, Zach might be rugging a little bit, but Harlan, you can go ahead again.
Okay, yeah, can you hear me good?
Yeah, John, we hear you. It's Zach that's bugging out. We hear you.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. So what I was saying is like, yeah. So a lot of the infrastructure that we're building for Clone V2 is actually piggybacking off of all of the work that we've done on Animus. So we built Animus in a way where it's all modular. It's all a bunch of modular components, and how we've set up the infrastructure from how the 3D is being generated to how the rig is being generated, and how we set it up in a way for a ton of different outputs for many different use cases. We're taking all those learnings from Animus and bring them into the Clone V2 experience. So that part of it is like super exciting for me because we're essentially taking all of those learnings and insights and then just bringing them and rolling them up to Clone. So that's really cool. One thing that I think people also don't, well, they'll see later, but won't realize is if with clones is like if you have like a hoodie or a wearable, we only had to essentially size it for like a feminine and like a masculine build. There are some of these animus traits where like a single class can have like 100 unique traits specifically just for that class, or a bunch of different traits just for that class, and then you propagate that across 39 different classes of animus, and then all of the other ones that we had done before, like Chris mentioned, that were curated down. It was just an insane amount of work. I mean, with CloneX, we had about 750 different traits that we had to put together and work on for V2s. With Animus, it's like exponentially, like so much more.
Yeah, I didn't do the hard count, Harlan, but I think it's anywhere between like 5,000 to 8,000. Like some of the lower ones are like 100 traits. It's massive. Nuts.
Yeah,
you can hear me now, Cass?
Yeah, much better, much better. I think that's a crazy amount, and it's part of the segue that might be good to talk about with how rarity and everything plays into this collection, because it's definitely not the average collection where you're going to have something that's completely extremely rare and then everything else is just considered common. I see we got David up here. I don't know if either you or Zach want to just take a little swipe at that. Just give us a rundown of what you think about this rarity and reveal concept you guys put together.
Kind of want David Shifke to take the stage. He really hops up on stage, so I'll definitely support him. But David really spent a lot of time with me and others spearheading this, so I'll jump in. But David, introduce yourself too for people who don't know you, and then get into it.
Yeah, there's a reason why I don't hop up on stage. Probably because you have better things to say. This is actually my first Spaces. It's a big first. Big day of first. Artifact just followed me. It only took 2 years of working here to get that done. So shout out to that. Yeah, great to meet oh, wow. Now I'm blushing. This is embarrassing. Yeah, so as Zach mentioned, I help with a lot of things at Artifact. Operations, analytics, to the tokenomics of this. So if you're angry, come yell at me. I'm happy to take it. So yeah, very, very excited about the response to all of this. I think it's been really fun sitting in Spaces, seeing the timeline react to this. We spent a lot of time in the office with Zach whiteboarding nonstop for months trying to figure out a good mechanic here. So I feel like we landed on something that really addresses a lot of what we've heard from folks, puts clones front and center. So thrilled about that. And then the overall collection, I mean, it's kind of hard to really put your finger on rarity with this because there's 39 distinct, basically unique collections through all these characters. So pretty excited. I'll be happy with whatever I receive. But Zach, yeah, go ahead. Whatever you think you want to discuss on rarity.
Yeah, we can get into it. I think, credit to Tommy, who will definitely have him up in a future space with Chris and members of our 3D team to really get into the art for people who really want to understand what went into it, a bit behind the scene stuff. But in terms of rarity, I think Chris, Ben, Z, and Tommy collectively really wanted to challenge how we traditionally looked at rarity, even like taking a step back from CloneX and like how other collections do it, and really make what's rare is rare, right? So, from a generation standpoint, you have 1.5% of the collection in generation 1, 20 in generation 2, and the rest in generation 3. So right there, there's very, very rare stuff already established in the 3 different generations. But also it's like even within generation 2 and generation 3 and 1, there are different quantities of animus, right? So even within those generations, there are different numbers of animus. Then you get into element rarity, which, I mean, it's comparable to like how we do DNA and how a lot of other projects do those like classes or categories, right? You have magic being the rarest, cosmic being the second rarest. Murakami, from an element standpoint, is actually one of the least rare, right? But Murakami Animus, right, which is comparable to how you look at Murakami DNA, or some of the rarest characters, right? And then we have artist editions, we have special editions. Within the elements, we have tiers of rarity, which will be reflected on the base character's texture and the background. So they're common, uncommon, and rare backgrounds. So again, we really spent a lot of time, I think based on inspirations with different card games and just collectibles in general, and looking at our own project and seeing how we can up the ante, making every animus that somebody gets something that they'd be proud of, while also like really gamifying and really making our rarity system unique, while still making some extremely rare stuff.
Zach, I want to interject something real quick. Do you remember, you and Dave, and this is for the audience too listening in, we had a different kind of mechanic rarity system before we really nailed it down. It was insanely complicated, really cool though, but insanely complicated. I just want to let the audience know we went deep into this. Like we try to figure out how to be new, how to how to be fresh. For the audience who collects our collectibles, but there was a really crazy complicated system in place that we still think is really cool, but it would just take a lot longer to execute, like way longer this until
Wait,
Zach
Chris,
and,
was it the game master one?
Yes.
Okay.
That one's crazy.
But it was crazy. But still, shout out to him. But to go in more stories around rarity, to give you how do you say? Ah man, for me it's late, so I'm losing my English. Gossip, not gossip stories, but for the story, as Chris said, we really wanted to make something special and not like and really open possibilities in the way we do it in the structure, but do something original. And I remember Zach and David, just so you know, all of this was made in a whiteboard in the Nike New York office in a tiny room where they were going every week to try to name the things. And we went through many iterations. And then we were checking the Excel and all of this because we're still, most of us remote. And I remember I was telling them, no, but think more conceptually. Think like the Olympians or something like this. I don't remember. But
it was based off of, I remember it was, some of it was inspired by the Final Fantasy, what is that again? The Final Fantasy 7. What are those called? The
invocations?
No, the little the abilities. There was like a mechanic system with that. I can't remember.
We went through a lot. Oh, Zizi! Welcome to the party.
Better late than never. No, but I think the main point with the mechanics that we made sure was like, how can clones play a major role in defining the rarity? And I think we nailed it in terms of how every DNA plays a different role in the point system, and Murakami as well. So I hope everyone appreciates the amount of work everyone on our team did to create a mechanic, keeping clones as the deciders of the Animus. And it's a pretty fun mechanic. And the website, how it defined kind of all the different levels of it, because it is pretty complex, but I think we showed it in a way where people can connect the dots and make sense.
David, how many iterations? Because you actually have the exact count, not exaggeration. Did approximately we go through on this?
On the rarity?
I think we got up to around 64.
Really?
Yeah, it's literally, literally that number.
Well, I'm glad we landed on number 64. It seems like a lot of people were excited. But Zap, since you showed up last, how are you feeling with everything coming?
Feeling great. Like what we've shown kind of gives people a sneak peek into the crazy world of Animus. And after seeing the Animus, I'm still every day mind blown by the variety and the complexity of it. It's kind of CloneX times 10 with the amount of different base characters we have. We have 40 different characters, and then seeing all the different traits. I think there's like billions of possible combinations. So you can appreciate the team who's working on curation, how many different animus they have to go through. So it's actually like crazy level of a project. Not only that, it's 3D as well, which is a whole new level of complication. But I just can't wait for the project to come out and people to see the level of Animus.
All right, we love it, and I know there's a lot of people that are excited because the iconic Murakami is still going to be working with us on this and doing some cool things. So would love to hear what you guys think about, just continuing the relationship with him and building with Animus.
I mean, I can start quick, but no, basically, yes, he's involved on Animus since we started. And actually, I found again when that pets group was started, Chris, and it was September 2022. So it's been a while. But yeah, good things, they take time, as the Valve guy says. But no, so Takashi is involved, and so same process than we did with CloneX, but different because it's full characters and as well some traits and 3D and 2D. So it's been super cool to work with him on this again and to have his amazing ideas and designs. He's the best of the best, honestly. So yeah, nothing much to add, but look for. I hope I'm gonna get. Normally hopefully I should get one. I hope so, but that's why we did that as well for the links on the tokenomics. But because I don't remember out of my head how many Murakami traits or character there are in total out of the 20.
It's 15%.
15%.
Yeah.
But what does it make in number? 3,000, right? No,
yeah.
more.
Quick math.
Yeah, quick math. Is it? But no, so they are really, really good. And it goes again, Takashi is known to make creatures and to be deep into this type of things. So it was really, really fun to work on it. Still have some to finish, by the way, like to finalize, but almost there.
Yeah, no, it's not just the characters. We have some cool content too. That's just a little alpha right there.
I mean, speaking of content, I know people are obsessed with what the team's done in the past with lore videos and building out lore for the universe. And so I think it's one thing that people would love to hear about. If you guys got any thoughts on lore around Animus or building out these characters.
I wish our new lore voice, Fairy Liquid's in the house, right? Yeah, I think she killed it on Fairy Explorer voice. I'll speak to like what I personally like about. I spoke about this with Fairy and Harlan, and then I'll toss it to Harlan. But I love when we were asking Fairy if she would jump in and really narrate the overview of incubation and also play a role in some of the cool stuff we have to come. She jumped at it, but also said that it's a cool moment because it shows that we can involve members of our team and also members of the community in making all the content. So I just wanted to shout out Fairy for helping put that video out and really putting her spin on it. and I'm excited to see what's going to come in the coming weeks with our logs. You'll notice on the site, incubate now and logs are grayed out. Logs is essentially, our content calendar, and we have some cool content coming out. And Harlan, I don't know, we shouldn't get too into it because we want to leave people to some imagination, but maybe you could talk about your view on the lore, since you played a huge role in the Exodus lore.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, the logs are going to be fun. Like Zach mentioned, I think it was like a really good opportunity to definitely involve members of the community, members of the team further into the lore development, and start seeing things connect on like where we currently are, where we're going, and the steps that that took for us to get to this point. So yeah, stay tuned for the logs. We're going to be releasing them hopefully periodically throughout the weeks up until reveal.
Yeah, and I think what's awesome about Animus, it's years in the making, like Benoit mentioned, and it really ties together all the parts we started building out with clones, space pods, and kind of connects the whole ecosystem we've been building over the years, and it's displayed through the mechanic and then also the lore, how clones and Animus interact, and the whole story of it. So it's cool that we can finally show people how like all of these building blocks we've been placing over the years tie in together for the whole kind of artifact vision 2080.
Yeah, gonna have to keep moving the year up. Things are going too fast. Looks like we got Tristan jumping on stage, so we got to give some love and shout out to Tristan. I know he's been working behind a screen for probably the past like 2 years, no breaks. So Tristan, how's it feel to see some of the creations out in the public for people?
Oh, it's good. I mean, it's nice to see 2 years of solid work coming out and getting positive reception. So it's gonna be nice to be able to sleep this weekend. So really happy, everyone's happy with it. So yeah.
Tristan really never sleeps. I swear. I have to ask him, "Hey, can you go to sleep? Can you rest?" he he is really the backbone behind a lot of the technical processes that goes behind all the 3D stuff. Like without Tristan, I don't know like where we'd be with the organization of this, especially like him bringing shock. We use shock grid for everything, and he's taught me a lot about shock grid. So yeah, it's insane. So I want to give a big shout to Tristan for everything.
Thanks, Chris. Means a lot. Appreciate it.
No, but without Tristan, there would be no ANIMUS. Like, honestly, because if it's a beast of a project, you need someone who's like experienced to manage pipelines, like a pro, and is not stressing about it. And that's Tristan.
No, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
I'd love to just make the rest of the spaces like compliment Tristan, so he just gets awkwarded and then has to like run back to his computer. Doesn't know what to do.
It's already awkward. Thanks.
Nice. But I was gonna say, Cass, just real quick, because we do have Tristan on here. I was gonna say, because you're so close to the art, have you taken a step back because you're so deep in the pipeline and all the traits and stuff? Do you have a favorite Animus or two? Something that you wish you reveal when they finally come out?
That was a question from me.
Yeah, man.
I
just expect you to.
My favorite character is Myra. It's the dragon one that came up in some of the renders. So I think you guys saw it on the website. But yeah.
But everyone is gonna say the dragon. Come on, like Zach.
Like, not the American comic dragon. I mean, it's Myra. She's
yes, okay,
it's the cutest one in my opinion.
Yes, okay, so I spoiled my answer. Then sorry, Tristan.
It's all good.
Dude, I'm a Calliope guy, dude. That name is badass, and that character is dope, and it's like small and cute. Like I don't fuck the dragon. I don't need the dragon.
No, the Myra one for me, it just and as a character, it just reads really well to me. It's very pulls on the heartstrings for me of my childhood. So yeah, I just like it a lot. So that's my favorite.
Is Myra the final name? I think that was our code name, right?
I don't know if it's a final name, but
Alpha.
It's the pipeline name, John.
Yeah, that's the pipeline name.
Yeah, we have code names for every single one of them. We may stumble upon them when we're actually talking about them and actually accidentally say the code name.
For sure. I think one thing I want to bring up related to Animus is Like we came into this kind of building this new IP, like we all were inspired by Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and all these cards. And I think one of the biggest challenges we've accomplished is making an IP that you can see elements of different inspiration, but cohesively the whole project looks like its own thing. So I think that was like a huge feat that the 3D and the design team with Chris and Tommy kind of pulled off. And when you kind of see them all together, you can tell they come from the same universe. So I think that's probably the hardest thing to do when you're building an IP, is to have it recognizable but also original. And I think that is kind of a key feature when people see all
Yeah,
the
and
different
it's got the
varieties.
artifact style and the Wankami style. Like, it's really its own style.
Love it. Can't wait to see it all out in the wild. I was gonna say this is definitely one of those projects that you guys have been crafting for a minute, and so now that we have a bunch of people who are gonna get their pets and bring them into this universe, I think it's gonna be super exciting for everyone in the community. Feel like we could jump into just a question or two about some of the points. I know it's one of those ones that people have, but I feel like we might save it because I see some people in the chat were asking about the physicals, and I know with the ARR stuff, it's really cool to see us collabing with a really dope group who makes super cool statues, and would wonder if Ben or Chris, anybody's got some comments on building out those.
On what? What banner?
The
I'm sorry.
toys, the toys, Chris.
Oh yeah, we're really, really, really excited about that one. That one was a long time in the making too. It's made by All Rights Reserved. If you guys don't know, hold on. Did my mic turn off? You guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
you can.
dramatic pause.
Now we can hear you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was saying it was done with All Rights Reserved. We're very excited to do this collaboration with them. If you guys don't know, they've done a lot of big collabs with Cause, for example. Futura, right, Ben? Ben, you have the Futura one.
Yeah, no, but they are some of the best making those
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And actually,
And
I bought a lot, and then we got in touch, and I thought, okay, like, it's the best. We only always try to work with people we respect the work and admire. And these guys, we know their work since a long time, so really, really good partners
yeah,
for
and
this. Yeah.
they did the egg like almost 1-to-1. It's crazy. Like the only thing missing, I just want to clarify something. Light doesn't come out of the egg, even though it does on the digital version. There's no lighting mechanic because I know in the photo there's I saw a light and I was like, oh, people don't think that there's actually like an electronic counter or a piece to this. But without the light, it still looks very cool because the transparency on the egg, the way the light bounces in it, looks really, really cool in person. I can't wait for people to receive their physical collectible toys.
And then one thing to just bring up, the quantities, I saw a few people talking that they're super low. It's reflected in what we see these. We see these as like art toy collectibles. So we wanted to maintain a level of scarcity among both styles that we have coming up. So in that, we're still going to reveal the mechanic, but we want to get back into creating super rare, limited artifacts and having also other products that everyone who's involved in the artifact ecosystem can play with as well.
Dope. Love it. I know we also had some other teasers about physicals coming alongside. Anything you guys want to mention about that?
I think the biggest one is the dunk shipment. I think everything's happening perfect timing. We're gonna have Animus, the dunks shipping out, and then we're playing with a few next generation prototype things. So you might see some content in the next month or so of some of the things we're playing with the dunk platform, which is super key for us. And also not forgetting Move to Earn. We've been crafting and curating that experience. So a lot of exciting things happening on the physical front.
Love it. Love it. I was going to say, Zach, I didn't know if you had anything to add, but I guess the thumbs up is good to go. But
No, I actually misunderstood the question. I'm glad Z jumped in, so it was a good save by Z.
that's what he's here for. But speaking to you, Zach, now let's answer some of these questions that some people might have about the mechanics and stuff, because one of the big ones is people are trying to figure out if, let's say, you just have just an egg, are you left of a chance?
Yeah, no, it's a good question and a fair one too. So, like Z said when he jumped up, like one of the key things with this mechanic was really trying to acknowledge the different personas in our community, our holders, right? Starting at the core of it with CloneX, right? Also think of, what we did with Exodus and the pod ecosystem, right? Tying it all together. And of course, tying it to the Animus egg. So we really tried to cater to a bunch of different personas, right? And a bunch of different holders to really strike a good balance. We feel like we did. We knew going into it, that's why we did 64 iterations, that we weren't going to nail the perfect one. I think it's impossible, but I think we struck a nice balance. So I'll first say that. With unincubated eggs, though, it's on the site. It's probably not as cleanly laid out as it is in the tables, but there is a chance for unincubated eggs to get some of the rarest Animus, artist editions, special editions, even some rare ones from Gen 2, Gen 3, and some others that we're cooking up. So I would just say that there's a number that we're definitely setting aside for unincubated eggs to really still maintain that fun and excitement that we have, with collecting and like opening packs, and like what we saw in CloneX with vials and other collections where, just by having the thing and you revealing it, you have a chance to get something. So we didn't want to discount that. There's still an opportunity for unincubated eggs to get something. So I definitely encourage people to reveal if they're into the characters and getting something rare. Yeah, that was the thought process in terms of making sure that we were really balancing all the different holders in our community while still giving some surprise, delight, and excitement to people who just hold eggs.
And you can see that point that Zach just made on the website where it says special editions. We have a bunch of them allocated to people without like the point system intertwined. So with that kind of special edition plus the points, there's multiple ways people can increase their chances. And we've tried to make a mechanic that's balanced and fair for everyone. And we mainly focused it on the DNAs of clones for points and a few select traits. But I think that's kind of a mechanic that will be more prevalent in the space as people see. It's a great way, I think, to reward people based on which clones and what type of assets they hold. But again, if you don't have anything and just an egg, you still have a random chance. So I think it's a fairly balanced mechanic.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and I think people on the opposite side are basically wondering kind of the same thing, because everybody wants to make sure that they get the best Animus they can, and so I think some people, when they look at like if they have like a rare DNA and a Lux Pod or something like that, they still want to kind of have that feeling that they're going to be receiving something that isn't quote unquote the least rare.
Yeah, David could add on anything I might miss here. Like I said, there's a lot of rarities to this, right? So if you have an alien DNA, right, and let's say no Lux Pod, right? If nobody, let's say somebody else has a lower DNA and a Lux Pod, yeah, they might get more points than you, but this is a probability game, right? So like we say on the site and like we've said in all the content that we put out, it really increases the chances of getting something rare, right? There's a chance that even if you have the most points, you might not get the most rare thing, but the probability is exponentially more if you do. On top of that, right, like, does it make sense, right, to use your Lux Pod if you already have a rare DNA? If I had an alien, right, would I do that? I would, just because it increases I'm just speaking from personally, like this isn't advice to anybody, but I personally would, because it increases your probability of getting an even rarer Animus than if you only used your alien, right? So I think it's easy to default to like how you've looked at CloneX, right, in terms of like, oh, like the rarest DNA, like this generation, that, but there's so many rarity things within rarity that like we've built the system so that the highest points have the highest probability to get the rarest thing, and it's not just based on what group it's in. So that's the way I look at it. But of course, like if people just want to use their alien, like they got a pretty good shot at getting something rare, but it really all depends on how people want to play the next few weeks in terms of using different collectibles to link to their egg.
Great answer. Definitely love that. And I feel like it's a good segue into another common question, which is kind of how the Murakami DNA and Murakami drip work with the reserved, and then Murakami drip having just a better kind of role. And it'd be cool, David, if you could explain just a little bit behind the thinking for that, so people understand how that came about.
Yeah, for sure. First thing I'll say is if you have a Murakami DNA, please send it to me. I'll post my wallet address. That'd be very kind of you. So with Murakami DNA, if you have a Murakami DNA clone, you are guaranteed to receive a Murakami Animus. We know a lot of people went out there and bought these Murakami clones because they're big fans. So it's important to keep that line there, and also allow people to continue that passion around Murakami. So that one is pretty straightforward to us. Murakami DNA clone, Murakami Animus. Now you can pair that Murakami DNA clone with an egg and a pod to increase your total points on that egg. Still, you're getting the Murakami DNA clone, but again, Animus, sorry, but like every other Animus, there are varying rarities within the Murakami ones. On the Murakami drip, so that one you receive, if you have a Murakami drip clone, a boost on your probability of receiving a Murakami Animus or a Murakami trait on your Animus. So both are rewarded there. And what we were talking about before, this Animus collection, 15% of it has a Murakami Animus or a Murakami trait. So if you look at it one-to-one with Murakami drip clones, there's actually about this exact ratio. So it's important for us to recognize that a lot of folks really love Murakami and want to continue down that passion through Animus as well.
100%. And one other thing I'd like to jump in on is the artist editions. So we tease them kind of on the website, and still keeping some of the info private just to keep some element of surprise. But if you have an artist edition CloneX, you also get an artist edition, and we have a few more of them that can be randomly received by people opening their eggs. And the artist edition is kind of what Takashi, we sit down with Takashi and we curate a set bunch of them. So similar to kind of what we did with CloneX, we have those coming out, and then some of those anyone can really get. So loads of fun, different mechanics, and the level of rarity as well is pretty wild amongst all of them.
Love it. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things people so enjoy about clones is going through and revealing. And this past week, we saw a lot of people were revealing to make sure that they could claim their eggs, which is a good reminder. So if you are listening and you have a vial, you do need to try to claim your egg before March 7th. That's when the final date now is for claiming your eggs. I think I saw Chris tweeting about trying to make gas go down so he could do something along the same. But yeah, this is gonna be super fun. Dude, we want to touch on how things will go after incubation. I think some people had some questions about revealing and whether they would be auto revealed or you could choose to reveal.
It's by choice for sure. I think nobody wants the repass, right? But no, stuff we've done in the past, it's not auto reveal once incubation is done.
Awesome. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot of fun.
Pretty straightforward one. Nothing to add on there, Cass. Sorry if you were waiting for a little more. I just felt it was pretty straightforward.
No, you were just a little delayed on my end, but it's definitely good to get that answer for some people who are worried. But I feel like you guys answered a lot of the top questions, and I know it's getting late, especially for people like Benoit. But could be fun to hear a little bit more from you guys about what you're excited for coming out of Animus, if there's anything left.
Yeah, I think one thing I'm excited for is we've done some secret dunk operations, and we have some very, very unique colorways that a select few people will be getting who participated in the Dunk Forge. And what we're super excited about is it's a material that's never been used on footwear. It's kind of like on the CloneX Air Force Ones, we played around with lenticular, Vanta, and things that have never been done. And on the Dunk, we wanted to try something even crazier. And I can give people a little like sneak peek, but we call it cat tongue, or cyber cat tongue. You can maybe connect the dots in your mind, but it's a very, very crazy material, which some people will be able to be the first in the world to hold and own pretty much. And then from there, a lot of other things that we're kind of cooking up on the physical side. But the cat tongue is, I think, legendary.
You got me, and a lot of other people probably ready to Google cat tongues. Don't Google it. Might be like not safe for work in your area. Uh, but so on this topic, I think it's been a big change since we were gonna originally have like a public sale related to this Animus project. So, what's the team's thinking now that we had to kind of pivot and go into a different direction?
Yeah, I think it's a great point, and I think it's good to openly discuss. Like for us, we've invested millions into Animus and the whole team working. I think there's this misconception that Artifact still receives royalties. So that's part of our sort of ongoing collaboration with Magic Eden, who are working with a lot of different projects to bring royalties back across projects. And I think we're a business at the end of the day, so we do need to monetize. And right now, our strategy has been kind of giving the Animus all to our CloneX supporters. Anyone who doesn't claim will airdrop the remaining eggs, and then having the physicals to kind of bring in some sort of revenue. But for any project in this space, it's not sustainable to kind of just do free airdrops, free claims. And that's something we've been kind of focused on with all the other leading projects in the space to solve, to create a more sustainable NFT ecosystem where we can provide more value to our core community. And that's why I think we've been pretty good with it in terms of offering optional forging events where you don't need to participate, but if you love the product and you want to collect it, you can do it. And with the made to order model, I think it's great. And these toys are a first step in kind of not the made to order model, with lower quantities and having different rarities of different kind of products and experiences. But Animus is a huge, huge, monumental project which literally cost us millions, and we've kind of given it to the community. Oh, Zach, sorry, you're cutting out. You sound like a robot.
R2D2 over there.
Yeah, it suits his PFP, that kind of noise he just made.
No, one
No,
thing
me, I
you
wanted to add on what Z said a little bit. It's just the story I was with one big OG founder, a friend, last week in Paris, and we were discussing how it was at the beginning, and even though we are both big projects, that we are never really competing before, never competing for market share or like making more money. It was not like the same type of business thinking, because royalties allowed for new business models where you could be really competing for who's doing the coolest thing for its brand or for the community and be the most creative. And that's just the misconception I think a lot of people have, unfortunately, is that when royalties are cut since a long time. And that's why it's important, that projects that continue building and have big ambitions, they can get these mechanics back in. And that's why we're all working with Magic Eden and hopefully, and it's good. I checked so far, like the response has been great from people. But that's the thing, that was the magic of the beginning of the NFT space. So you need to to be creative around ways to continue to innovate and do interesting things, but also make money to fund really creative projects. So I think it's important for people to understand that, yes, unfortunately, royalties, even though you think we all get them from CloneX or whatever, like, or that the past projects are still making it, it's really night and day compared to a year ago. So yeah, that's what Z was saying. So, but ANIMUS, as he said, a lot of investment went into it, and hopefully you all realize, especially with all the 3D files and how we prepared them, it's really, really big, ambitious project.
Yeah, it's definitely not lost on some people. It's huge to go from possibly selling another 20,000 items to just saying, "Hey, it's gonna be it free for those who got it," and if you want to get
And
some.
also, what's cool is we made them as well. The ones that are not claimed are going to be distributed to clones because, again, we've been listening that people want more attention or putting more attention on clones. And it's good that they're getting distributed. And also, the overall collection like this is also same number than the clones. And the idea as well is, even though everyone is talking about rarities, like what animus you want to pair with your clone, how are they going to look in the inventory? Like, that's what you need to think about, because most of them are cool, even those that are less rare than the super rare ones.
So you're cool with not getting a dragon, is that what you said?
I think honestly though that like when I'm looking at some of the animus, some of the non-rare ones actually look really aesthetically pleasing. So it's going to be interesting to see how the community pick which animus they get or which animus they want to get, because even for me, obviously I love the rare crazy ones, but there's a few that are not really necessarily rare but really aesthetically pleasing and look really cool. And I think one other thing is that 2D PFPs look insane. On the website you can have a little sneak peek, but if you imagine 20,000 of these 3D guys and then they all have a 2D variant, I think it's super cool. So curious to see how people utilize them as PFPs or 3D or 2D. But I think having the optionality to play between both 3D and 2D is something that we are super passionate about, and yeah, really excited to see. But for me, I think some of the 2Ds look crazy.
No,
So
and to
yeah.
add on this, because a lot of people know us for our 3D work, and it's true, we love 3D, and of course it's part of a lot of innovations going on these days. But we also wanted to show, because on the ANIMUS project, we really worked with really amazing concept artists. Some of them worked on like League of Legends or really good game and IPs. And so we wanted to show, okay, like, what if we combine and give options to people, and you have a full body in 3D and a side profile picture for the 2D, and to really show off as well a little bit, because even though you don't see that much, but sometimes Chris is posting sketches and stuff like that, but everything starts always with a sketch or really good concept art in everything we do, even though the end results you see 3D, but we love that. And we also know there's a lot of really amazing 2D artists in the community. So it's interesting to also start to feature this type of creators in the content and the features we do.
We actually have so much art from Animus that we can make like a really thick art book. Like, literally, it's crazy. Like we'll probably most likely start, as we get closer to reveal, we'll definitely drop some more art, so you can see the process of how these characters are made. But it's a lot of amazing stuff, and even some of if we can, like the stuff that never made the cut, because there's some Animus characters that looked amazing, really cool, that didn't make the cut, but we again strategically picked the right ones for this batch. But yeah, we'll definitely try our best to share some with you guys.
Even I think the process with Takeshi Murakami is another one that we definitely need to share. Just like his traditional methods of sketching on top and edits on the things that we did. I think that whole process, we teased it at Gaysai a year ago, but there's even more than kind of what we teased. I think all of that would be really cool to open up to the community to see behind the scenes.
Oh man, that reminds me, Z. Do you remember in San Francisco when we went to a show, and we were in the room with him, and he had all the Animus characters on a
Yes.
board? So he's working while traveling. So I took a picture to send to Tommy, and we couldn't tell what was the change. So Takashi, he'll circle, like there'll be a tiny dot on the eye that's just maybe off a little bit.
That was literally it. You cannot tell what the change was until you ask him and he'll point it out. But I was relaying these changes, looking at him, going over him and sending them to Tommy. And it was like the craziest thing because we didn't know, like, wait, well, what is there the fix? It looks the same. But you have to look carefully because it reminds me of those games where it says which one is wrong, like left or right. It's very, very tiny details that he's really picky
Yeah,
on.
and
And, you know,
it
that's
was
The
crazy.
direction of the reflections.
No, it was crazy because he was like literally traveling around the world doing art exhibitions and then having this giant whiteboard with all the Animus characters. So whenever he had any free time, he'd do the updates live. But it just shows how committed Takashi is to this space and also to our project, that he's willing to kind of spend a lot of his time to create this like wild collection. And I think you guys, when you see the amount of different variations we've done with Takashi, it's feels amazing. So I'm super stoked on that.
Yeah, now everybody's excited to try and get a Murakami Animus. I know it's not going to happen for all of us. I'm still putting my hopes out there, but
They all look good, Cass. They all look good.
well, I've got my eye on one of those wolf ones. That's actually the. I'm just not trying to talk about it so people don't get hyped. We can distract them with dragons and other things.
I think it's also important to mention too that we've also looked at the stuff with a crucial eye and eye into as well. It's not just Takashi. So there's a lot of like fine details that are going into things that are like really seen on every end of things. So
100%. And people in the community have probably seen less than 1% of the project. Like what we have on the website is like the tiniest sneak peek. So if you imagine that by 20,000, you can just only imagine how much we've got.
Yeah, I feel with the amount of traits that we have per like Animus class, like how much work into every single one, dude. I mean, you're gonna pull something special. I feel like every single one of them, like how they look, is special. I mean, even looking at like Gen 3, like some of my favorites are in Gen 3, and that's like the biggest supply compared to everything. Like they look so good.
I'm definitely excited to see more of these, and like, no, everybody else is as well. I think there was one question I wanted to make sure to answer because I saw it in Discord and might be one that some others have, but someone was asking if the points that are accrued to an egg stay with an egg if someone wanted to, try and move it on secondary. I think the answer for that is no. But David, if you had any words you wanted to chime in on that, feel free to.
The word I'll chime in with is no. It does not travel. That's correct.
Yeah, and that was really designed to ensure that people who have held on to their clones, their Lux pods, all the different assets that play a role in this, get the reward and don't just transfer it. So I think it's a fair mechanic to have in place.
Yeah, I think you guys really, like you said, really put a lot of thought into this. 64 different versions, so it makes sense as to why it came out the way it did. And it was also dope to see how you guys involved some of the community members and others in this process to finalize decisions. So I know we've been going for an hour. It's definitely been a lot of fun. I was going to say, Clegg, Ben, Zap, Harlan, Tristan, any last thoughts or anything you guys wanted to say before we go?
Protect respectfully.
Oh, it's the best one. Protect his. I say the same. You can't beat that.
Yeah, I can't beat that one.
Yeah, you can't really top that.
Well done, Bao. Yeah. Again, reveal. I'm excited to see the community's reaction on the reveal. That day is going to be insane. Especially revealing my own eggs. I'm excited to see what I get. But looking forward to that day when it comes. It's going to be exciting.
And then one last thing I just add is like thank you to everyone who's supported the Artifact brand, still here, still thriving, vibing, creating cool things. We appreciate everyone, and I think this kind of rollout shown that we've taken in a lot of the criticism and comments that you guys have had from previous drops, and shows our willingness to kind of improve and show you guys that we're with you on the community side and want to do the best thing possible. So thanks again, everyone. Peace out.
Take care.
See you.
Thank you.